Hey guys, what's going on? Lee Sanders here from the RCWR Show, covering all things entertainment and beyond since 2011. Thank you guys so much for checking out this special episode as we are talking about the season finale of True Detective Season 3, Episode 8, Now Am Found. I gotta tell you, I'm still just processing everything that came about with this episode that went off the air about an hour plus ago. I actually went back and watched it again immediately after it went off, and I'm just still, right? Hey, I appreciate those of you that's checking out this episode. I know there were some of you guys that said, Lee, I'm actually going to check you out because I need answers. I need to figure out what the hell I just watched, right? Hey, before we dive into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Click on the bell notification so you always know about new content that comes your way on a weekly basis as we talk all things entertainment and beyond. Talk a little wrestling, talk a little sports, movies, just everything. We try to go a little bit all over the place, a little bit of something for everybody, and we've been doing it since 2011. You can also follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Use the keywords, the RCWR Show. So, longtime listeners know that I am a big fan of True Detective, and I have been putting this season over big time ever since the news had first came about that Academy Award winner Mahershala Ali was going to be joining the cast of this newest season of True Detective. And when you had first heard the announcement that Ali was going to get involved with the True Detective series, immediately you couldn't help but say, well, given his great track record, his great body of work, if anybody can help get True Detective right back to where it was with the first season, it's definitely this man. And then you hear how Woody Harrelson, Matthew McConaughey were going to be serving as executive producers for this season. Just that 1, 2, 3 man combo. How could you possibly go wrong with this, right? And by the way, while we're talking about Mahershala Ali, I did not check out the Oscars. I'm sorry, I did not. I will definitely check out the list of winners and everything, but I did manage to hear that Green Book starring Mahershala Ali apparently had won. I'm going to rely on you all to correct me because I really didn't have time to check out the info, but somebody that I'm following on my Facebook page, apparently Green Book had beat Bohemian Rhapsody for Best Film. If that's the case, congratulations to Green Book. I got to tell you, when I was seeing the trailers for that particular movie, I wanted to see that. I mean, y'all got to admit, anything that involves Mahershala Ali, he has that magical touch. He leaves you with a excellent performance. He leaves you with just, it's breathtaking, right? You're going, man, this guy is so freaking phenomenal. Everything he touches is gold. And as I was watching the season finale tonight with my girl, and we've been watching every single season from the minute that I had checked out the first 2 episodes, got a really good feel for the show. I said, man, I got to get my girl to watch this. And she usually is, there's not bloody. There's not a whole bunch of guts spilling all over the place or anything, is there? I don't have to worry. No. You're good. You'll like it. And once I showed her the very first episode, she's been hooked. I got to tell you, and I'll talk a lot more about this later on during the show, but as far as future awards nominations go, I would love to see this season of True Detective get nominated for a couple of things. One, the screenplay, the directing. I definitely would love to see Mahershala Ali get nominated for Best Actor in a Drama Series. I would like to see Stephen Dorff be nominated for Best Supporting Actor in a Dramatic Series. I definitely would love to see, and I gotta make sure I show her a lot of love, Carmen Ejogo. I definitely need to see her get nominated for Best Supporting Actress in a Drama Series. The makeup, I'm sure many of you would definitely agree with me. The makeup, whew, if they don't get nominated and win the award, it's a travesty as far as I'm concerned. But I'm looking at this particular series. I've got them definitely nominated for a whole bunch of stuff. Okay. Now that we've got all of that out the way, and again, I'll give more accolades and all that later on, let's talk about what we saw, right, tonight. So everything culminated to this season finale where Wayne Hayes reaches out to his good old buddy, Roland West. Hey man, one more time, ride the saddle with me. Get on that horse one more time. We've got unfinished business. We've got to try to solve this case. We owe it to the victims' parents. We owe it to them. We owe it to that little girl. Let's find out what the hell happened, right? Normally, I can review something and I can just dodge spoilers. I've got to go there. I've got to spoil this episode. So if you did not see this episode, you're being warned right now. Pause this. Come on back after you check out this episode, right? You come on back. Now, if you don't mind being spoiled, you've been warned already. Let's go there. Okay, so this whole time we're under the impression that this girl was snatched as a result of maybe some type of a sick, sadistic, pedophile creep, right? We're under the impression maybe she's part of some type of a pedophilia circle or whatever. Not even the case at all. Remember, we kept hearing about this black guy with a blind eye. Okay, well, what's going on with this guy, right? Seems very sketchy. Not too many people are able to. I can't really say I saw somebody looking like that. Can't really say that I have. But the more and more that these episodes progressed, it turns out, yeah, black guy, blind in one eye, eyeless, looks ghostly. Yeah, he actually does exist. And we saw what happened with the last episode. We finally saw that man as he had confronted Amelia at her book signing, wanted to know if there was any leads. And you're looking at this man, wow, he fits the profile. So what exactly is his role in all of this? And I remember before watching the season finale, I say to my girl, he's taking this very personal, not in a way where he did something wrong, like he committed a crime. He's almost talking as if he is a concerned citizen / he has some type of connection to that girl. So what exactly is the connection? Well, his role would be revealed on this season finale. So we see Hayes, Roland, they managed to snap a picture, the back of this guy's vehicle, if you guys recall. Turns out the vehicle, it belongs to him. They find him out. He's still in Arkansas, deep out somewhere. They find him. He says, hey, I was expecting you guys. I guess you all are here to kill me. Go in the house. Let's talk. So they all sit down and he tells this story. And basically he talks about how, my God, it was a lot to process. So apparently there was a crash that had happened in 1977. All right. And this crash that had occurred, this woman was involved, her family, her life as she knew it, everything had got taken away from her. All right. Little girl was involved in this car accident. And this poor woman just was not the same after the accident had went down. This woman that survived this devastating car accident went into a serious state of mental withdrawal. She just was not living life once again. Very just in her own little world, but she was somewhere very, very dark. So a couple of years go by, and one day she's looking out of her window and she sees this little girl. And this little girl looks identical to her daughter. All right. Looks just like Julie. And she's infatuated with this girl. Now, how does this tie into the black guy? Well, it turns out the black guy had worked at the Hoyt factory or whatever. And there was some weird accident that occurred while he was working. I guess the factory line or whatnot, his eye got taken out as a result of the accident. And the family, they took really good care of him. Eventually, they gave him a job where he was able to move into the estate. And from what we were kind of able to see with his respective flashbacks, he basically was some type of a butler, right? He was a butler, a personal aide, a caregiver, all of that, right? So homegirl, the mother, she goes to this man and says, hey, you got to give me that little girl. You got to let me somehow see her. She looks just like my daughter. I want to be able to play with her or something. Surely we can do something, but I want to see her again. So the black man eventually, reaches out to these kids, try to find out if they would be okay with, meeting up with this woman. And, he in a nice way, he breaks it down. And the kids, they're like, don't really think that would be a problem. Sure, why not? Now, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that word got to the mom, and the mom was okay with the kids going to spend time with this other lady. Mom wanted cash money. That doesn't really surprise me, and it really shouldn't surprise any of you all, because after all, the only thing that this mom cares about is the almighty dollar bill. If you got the money, she got the time, right? So there's got to be something in it for her. Rather than a sane parent say, look, I'm sorry for your loss, right? I know it can be traumatic. I can only imagine the pain that you're going through over the loss of your kid in this accident. But I'm sorry, I just don't feel comfortable doing something like that, even though you could give me money. I just don't think this is right. I wish you nothing but the best. Maybe you should look into foster care, adopt a kid, right? No, she just goes on ahead. She takes the money. Okay, it is what it is. Still, at this point, it's not that bad. Well, it turns out the mother was supposed to be taking some prescription drug, lithium or whatever. And it turns out she was not taking that drug. And as a result of not taking that drug, she got more messed up in the head. And one day, the one-eyed black man, the kids, they were out in the woods, they were playing. Little girl said, hey, it's getting kind of late. We really should go. Her or her brother, one of the two had said that. And next thing you know, the woman, she flips the hell out. She's trying to snatch the girl over to her side. There's a scuffle that happens between her, Julie in the middle, the brother. The brother gets pushed so hard by this woman that the brother ends up hitting a rock. And one-eyed black man goes in. Hey, he's okay. He just bumped his head. He's okay. I'm checking on him right now. Brother realizes, the kid's dead. What the hell? So it was the one-eyed black man and Julie that ended up taking her brother into those deep parts in the mountains and that rock-like structure, and had him in there with his hands closed, closed like that, like he's praying, eyes closed. It was them that did all that to him. And afterwards, this woman took Julie to the Hoyt estate, and we see the pink room. We finally see the pink room. Everything that was in there, it really did look like someone was living in a pink princess castle, if you will. Roland, Hayes, they ended up hearing that with regards to the Hoyt estate, it actually got taken over. It got acquired by the bank, right? So no surviving family member came in after Senior Hoyt himself. After he passed away. You're thinking, well, maybe it's just going to pass on to... No. And by the way, Michael Rooker, man, what has he not touched? Seriously, I think you can play a game kind of similar to Kevin Bacon. You know the game I'm talking about if you know your entertainment and all that. You can take one actor and somehow you can just go through this pyramid tree and somehow it all connects to Kevin Bacon. I'm telling you, you can do the same thing with Michael, right? This guy plays such iconic roles, significant roles that really helps further along a storyline. And I gotta tell you, I really loved his chemistry with Mahershala Ali, as Mahershala Ali's Hayes gets into this vehicle. It turns out it's Senior Hoyt himself. Take him to this remote location in the woods to reveal, hey, I've got surveillance, my kid, the GPS. My God, that was some deep stuff. I didn't even think that was possible when he laid down on Hayes. But he's asking him straight up, tell me what happened with my kid. Just be honest with me. Tell me straight up what happened with my kid. And Hayes is saying to him, well, we had a couple of questions for him, but no, we haven't seen him. No, we haven't seen him in a couple of weeks. And the dad just keeps chipping away, and he just reveals little bits of pieces of information that he has. And he keeps telling Hayes, do not insult my intelligence. Please don't. I've been through enough as it is. Just tell me what you did with my boy, right? And you see that he's been drinking his ass off like all night. But I get the impression, I'm not sure about you all, but I get the impression that the dad has probably not really been feeling some of the things that his son has been doing over the years. He's in the dark on a lot of things, but he knows enough to know that his kid is one bad seed. And you kind of get the impression that he cleans up a lot of his son's mess, right? Hayes keeps playing this game, and eventually he reveals to him, hey, let me tell you something. I've got serious cameras all over my factory. I've got serious cameras all over my estate. I saw when my son left work for the night. But more importantly, I saw you all's vehicle following right behind him after he left. Furthermore, he's got a beeper, and that beeper has a GPS tracking device. So let me ask you again, where's my kid? Or is this going to be a case where you, me, and my guys, we're going to go follow that last signal that his GPS gave? And let me guess, we're probably going to have to take some shovels, right? And Hayes did not say anything after that. He pretty much just wanted answers. He wanted to get down to the bottom of the truth of just what dude's son's role was in the disappearance of Julie and everything. And we see Senior Hoyt. He tells him straight up, yeah, Henry, thank you for that. I see El Pardino in the chat. Michael Rooker, Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, cult classic. Yeah, we see Michael as Senior Hoyt. He tells him, hey, look, the dirt that I have on you, it's enough to bring you and your partner down. It could even bring your family down. You got a nice looking family. I know enough about them. I'm sure you wouldn't want anything bad to happen to them. The best thing I can tell you at this point is, with regards to that little girl, leave her alone. Leave her alone. Let her have the life that she wants to live. You heard her on the voicemail. You heard her when she was talking to the police. She doesn't want to be found. Leave her alone. That's the best thing you can do right now. I promise you, if you go and continue to dig this up, certain individuals can have a reason to act accordingly. And so from that moment on, Hayes just pretty much gave up the case. And so now when you kind of go back into real time, basically 2015, because remember, we're going across these decades, right? Now we understand why Roland probably felt the way that he felt about Hayes, especially that whole part about, man, it's been how long, 20-something years since I last heard from you. What the hell, blah, 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 blah. So now that the pieces are starting to finally come together, we see where Hayes is. And, it's pretty messed up how Senior Hoyt operated with Hayes. But if there is a bright side to look at it from this standpoint. Senior Hoyt could have easily said, your partner, you're my bitches now. Anytime I need you all to get rid of some evidence, you guys will be able to do that work for me. Anytime I need you all to take care of a ticket, you get the whole routine, right? And it would have been like that until they dropped dead. He could have easily done that, but he did not go in that direction. It pretty much was just, enough damage has been done. Everybody has suffered enough. Let this be. To quote the Foo Fighters song, let it die. That's basically what Senior Hoyt had wanted. So to get this bombshell of news from the one-eyed black man was just wow. So it was not a pedophilia ring whatsoever. Eventually, the first couple of years, it was good. Julie was okay with this woman. Sick. was giving her the lithium drugs at such a very young age that it screwed up Julie's memory. So she almost was brainwashed, if you will. But as she got older, she was starting to remember still like certain parts of her life. She kind of remembered a brother. Things were coming back to her, and she no longer wanted to be at that estate. She wanted to somehow get out of there, and she begged that black guy for help. And the black guy eventually helped her, drew her a map of the whole estate and said, look, just follow this map. You'll be able to get out this way. Once you come out this way, I can actually meet you and I will get you to safety. So he gives her the map. He does his part, make sure that she's able to escape. But when it comes time for the rendezvous, she's nowhere to be found, and he never saw her again, sadly. So eventually, with regards to Roland and Wayne, their investigation takes them to this, God, I don't know what the hell you call it. It seemed as though it was some type of a boarding house for, young troubled girls. That's honestly how it came off to me. That was being operated by nuns. And it turns out Julie was there. And except she was under a different name. I believe it was Mary June. So, kind of like the Seasons. Okay, all right, whatever. All right, cool. So the nun actually takes the former detectives to Julie's grave. And they have revealed that she passed away in 1995 as a result of HIV. You hear that, you go, wow, that's pretty damn devastating. That's really messed up. And you see Roland, Hayes, they're just torn up by this. They're really hurt. They're like, wow, what the hell? So as they make their way out of this whole thing, it kind of feels like, for one, there's closure. For the other, not necessarily closure. They run into this little girl, looks just like Julie. And you don't think none much of it. You don't. For some reason, Hayes, he homes in on the one guy, and you kind of look at the guy. Wow, he kind of looks like the dad. All right, wow, that's kind of cool. But he homes in on the name of the company that the dad works for, as it's a landscaping business. For whatever reason, who knows. But that's that. So now it seems like both of these men are finally able to move on with their lives. But then, God, just when you think it's going to be over, I'm just processing all of this in real time here. No notes, freestyle thinking, folks. So just when you think this is all over, now we see Hayes. He's getting help from Roland, packing up just everything. He wants that closure now. He wants to be at peace, right? Nothing wrong with that. He's getting up there in age. He's suffering with this dementia. This dementia, we can see it's really kicking his ass. And he just now is at that point where it seems he finally has peace. He can live out the rest of his golden years, enjoying his family, enjoying his grandkids, enjoying this somewhat second coming, if you will, or technically third coming of a relationship with his buddy Roland, right? But then he has this, I don't know what the hell you want to call it, but his wife Amelia is talking to him and is saying, hey, what if it turns out this goes a lot deeper than where it ended? What if it turns out that little girl that you came across, what if it turns out that is the offspring of Julie and such? You guys remember the little boy that was pretty choked up when Julie had disappeared? Remember he was playing his little device when Amelia had approached him and everything? So basically, the ghost of Amelia is saying to Hayes, what if it turns out that somehow the two of them, they reconnected many, many years later? And what if it turned out that, they lived just a nice, quiet civilian life right up under your nose? What if it turns out that the nursing boarding home that Julie was at, what if the nun somehow knew that there were certain dark forces at play that were looking for Julie, and they faked her death so that she can live out the life that she needed to in peace? And so you see Hayes, he's just, you can see he really doesn't want to go down this rabbit hole, but the more and more that he's listening to his wife, he realizes, hey, she actually might be on to something here. And so he just all of a sudden starts remembering, hey, there's that landscaping place, right? And so next day he goes out. So heartbreaking to see. It reminded me a lot of Dr. Sam Beckett Quantum Leap. And you know, every time Sam Beckett would leap into somebody else's life, his memory was Swiss cheese. He could not remember what happened from the previous leap until you got to season 5 and he was dealing with the evil leaper. All of a sudden he could start remembering certain things to a degree. But we see Hayes, he finally pulls up because he had a lead. He got the location of this landscaping business. Turns out it was basically a home. And just when it's looking as though he's gathering himself and he's going to go out there and try to get some more answers, bam, the dementia hits him right then and there. He's not sure where the hell he is. He gets on the phone and he calls his son. And his son is like, hey, you know, we're all here. We're waiting for you. You know, come on, where you at? And he tells him. And he's like, okay, all right, Dad, just stay put. Stay right there. Give me an address. Give me something. So Hayes actually goes up, because he sees the little girl again that looked just like Julie. Sees what's to be her mom. So we're kind of under the impression that that has to be Julie, right? That has to be Julie. Don't spoil Quantum Leap for people. You'd be surprised how many people have not seen Quantum Leap. Let's not spoil how it ended for them. But yeah, you see Hayes, he goes up and, you know, he introduces himself. He says, I'm sorry, I'm lost. I need directions. I need to know where I am. What's this street? What's the cross street? And they give him that information. So his son tells him, don't worry, Dad, I'm on my way. Just hang tight, stay cool. Hayes ends up troubling them for a glass of water. And he's looking at the little girl, and the case, nothing is conjuring up anything. Nothing whatsoever. So he has his drink of water, and it felt very awkward, I must say. You could just feel the intensity in the air. You could feel tension, but not coming from Hayes. It felt as though the tension was coming from what appears to be an adult Julie that seems a little bit rattled, trying to get a good gauge on where her conversation with Hayes could be going. But Hayes actually says, hey, thank you for the water. Sorry to disturb you all. Enjoy the rest of your day. Hayes' kids end up coming to pick him up. He finally sees his daughter. It was great seeing the daughter, because that's something that we have been wondering for the entire season. What's going on with the daughter? Where's the daughter? Is there some type of friction between father and daughter? What's going on? And it was really touching, I would have to say, to see that there was no quarrel with father, daughter. Everything was good. If anything, they just really missed each other. You could tell from the daughter's side, she was a little bit heartbroken, a little bit choked up that she had spent so much time away from her father. And I would like to imagine, to a degree, maybe she felt a bit guilty that she left the responsibility of a mentally declined, health-wise, her father in the state that he was in. I would like to imagine that maybe there was a part of her that felt a little bit guilty that the son was carrying all of this burden and taking care of his dad, right? So what appears to be a great send-off for this season, we don't get that, right? We don't get that. Let's talk about this. We don't get that because what appears to be, what a great send-off. We see Roland, we see Hayes, we see Hayes' family. Everybody's gathered together and they're just kicking back, enjoying iced tea, watching the grandkids ride their bicycles. It doesn't get any better than this. What a great piece of Americana right here, right? But no, we don't get that. Sadly, what we get is a flashback where a young Hayes is in a bar, and in earlier flashbacks during this episode, we see that there is conflict now between him and Amelia. We see the conflict early on in their relationship in the 80s.
And we see what ultimately was the setup in making Roland step down from being a detective the first go round. He got blackballed like a mother, basically. And it basically had to do with Amelia writing up this report, basically going off of the information she had got from Hayes. And they somehow were able to figure out, okay, we know who Hayes has been talking to, and all they wanted for him to do to keep his job was write a letter disputing everything that she said. You know, it's not true. She doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. Just bury her, and he could keep being a detective. But he decided, nah, I'm not going to do that. Screw that. And so he ends up working low down the chain. He ends up working admin, basically, right? Processing information, typing up reports, whatever. Some bullshit desk job, right? It's the worst thing you'd want unless you're injured, basically. So he's pretty pissed off about how all this ended up. He's dodged Amelia for a couple of weeks. As far as he's concerned, the relationship is over. She actually comes to his house trying to get answers. We see great conflict happening right there. He wants her out of his life. And so you flash forward, later on during the episode, pretty much in the closing moments, you go back to, once again, sometime during the 80s. There he is in a bar, drinking by himself. Amelia walks in, tells him straight up, look, I don't like the way you treated me the last time we had talked. I've never had a man talk down to me the way that you just did. I've maybe had females talk to me like that, but never a man. And Hayes says to her, I probably shouldn't have said some of the things that I should have. I'm sorry, you are right. And she asks him straight up, what do you want? Do you want to be together or not? I don't really know. Well, that's not really an answer. I know, it's just, I was pretty upset the last time we talked. I'm not really sure what I want. I think I'd like to marry you, right? So if that's not officially putting the proposal out there, I don't know what is. But we see Amelia come right back. She goes, well, if that be the case, we should really get you home, get you cleaned up. And I think one of the things we should start doing is not having you drink anymore. And Hayes goes, yeah, that sounds like it'd be a really good start. Sure. And she tells him, well, while you think about how you're going to propose to me, I'll consider whether or not I'm going to accept. And as we all know, we saw how the rest of that had played out. And it was nice that towards the end of the episode, we kind of got that pretty little ribbon around what made them click so well, because going back to pretty much when they first met, and then seeing where they were in their marriage, Hayes finally drawing that line and telling her, look, from the moment that we first hooked up, there were just certain things about what I did at work I should not brought home and put it on your lap. There should have been some type of a line drawn. That never was the case. But now more than ever, we need to start doing that. And she tried. I gotta give her credit. She tried to find out what the hell was going on with him, burning his clothes at 3 o'clock in the morning and all that. And I tell you, what they did to Hoyt Jr., that was straight up some hardcore, you know what, all right? That was hardcore what they did to the son. But, God, you talk about taking something to your grave. That's something that they're going to have to take to their grave. And I think if it was any one of us in that position, we would not want to put our loved one in that type of a position where, okay, here, this is my darkest secret. Now you know. No, because that makes her a liability. So it was great that they did not have Hayes in storyline reveal to Amelia, okay, look, this is what happened, right? This is exactly what happened. So, going back to that bar scene one more time, just to put a pretty little bookend on this episode. So it looks as though they patched things up. As we all know, the rest is history with regards to them being a couple and everything. But as they exit out the bar, you see this big, bright white light. And then the next thing you know, you see a young Hayes that is in the jungle. And you're like, wow, what the hell is going on with this? And the last burning image that is through your mind is Hayes going through this jungle, looks as if he's not really sure exactly where he is, but he looks back at the camera, looks into the jungle, and he goes through that jungle, and as the camera pans away, the jungle gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and you're really led to the impression that, holy shit, did dude's dementia just get the best of him? Because rewind this back, and my challenge to everybody that had watched the season finale tonight, I want to hear what you guys had thought, because I put this out immediately as the credits had rolled up. Okay, picture this. So Hayes is with his family. He's with Roland. Everybody is just on the porch, drinking iced tea, smiling, laughing, looking at the grandkids riding their bicycle. And then he gets lost in the flashback with him and Amelia in the bar. And then they exit the bar. You go to that jungle scene. To me, my interpretation of him in the jungle, that was symbolic to me from the standpoint of the dementia finally really grabbed a hold of him. And for me, I'm fortunate enough to be in a position where my loved one, my girl, she has worked in the healthcare field for a couple of decades, and she knows what it's like to work with people that are suffering with serious dementia, Alzheimer's. And I asked her, I said, could one's dimension engulf them so much that life as they knew it, like it ceased to exist? And she told me, she said, yeah, one day it could just be you wake up and you no longer know who anybody is. You can't remember the first 20, 30, 40, 50 years of your life. You forget how to dress yourself. Yeah, it's like it just really depends on the magnitude of it. But to see how it basically ended, I even had more questions, because it was, okay, well, it's one thing if you would have had it end with him and Amelia walking out of the bar, I would have been fine with that. I would have said, okay, that's a great ending, all right? But for it to end with the whole jungle thing, somebody said to me on Twitter directly, they said, well, maybe that scene in particular, maybe that was the beginning of his dementia. And I don't believe that, and I'm going to tell you the reason why. Because if you really paid attention and you watched this season, when you first came across the Hayes character in the 80s, remember, he first got this case the day that, who died? The day that Steve McQueen died. And when we see him at that period in time, his memory is so damn sharp. He is good. Really good. And then when we see him in the 90s, we start to hear rumblings that he's a little bit forgetful, right? So you're led to the impression, okay, maybe the dementia is starting right about here. And then there is one scene where in the 90s, he does have a recorder and he's saying a little something, something. So, okay, put two and two together. Okay, maybe the dementia is kicking in a little bit right about here. And he's second guessing himself just a little bit. Really, he's lacking in confidence because of what went down years prior. Understandable. His confidence is no really there. He feels a bit insignificant and all that. But here comes Roland, giving him another opportunity. And right, okay. But then by the time we see him in 2015 as basically a senior citizen, he has good days, but the dementia is slowly but surely kicking his ass. 1 minute, he, as we saw in the finale, he's driving down the street. He knows what he's getting ready to do, but before he can get out the car, puts it in park, and he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. We've seen that a couple of times this season with him. So that jungle scene was very symbolic to me, and I love when a movie or a show ends in a way where, here you go, however you want to interpret it, right? And I like what Justin is kind of saying in the chat. He's saying the ending, and I mean the very ending, was lazy to me, and there was no point in showing him in Vietnam in the end. Justin, I beg to differ. I think you might have missed it by a couple of minutes there. I'm not really sure. Welcome. And welcome to everybody else that's checking out the review. No, Justin, as I was just saying, I think the scene with him in Vietnam was very significant. I think it's very possible that what they were trying to illustrate was he's now so far gone in his mind that he's so deep, he's so down in the hole that he's lost now. I think the jungle scene was symbolic in the standpoint of it was showing us how magnified his dementia had got. I would not be surprised if they do decide to come back with a season 4. There's enough that's there. You can easily go with a season 4 opener and have it be the son pretty much picking up where his dad left off. I mean, we all can be in agreement. There's definitely enough that's there, but you can also go in another direction where, well, on top of picking up where his dad left off, there's this other case that he's working as well. And I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, but there was another tie-in to season 1, right? We got it the first go round. I think it was either last episode or a couple episodes ago, but season 1, the reference to it was here in this episode as well. And yes, Justin, like he's lost in his own mind. Yes. Because when I was talking about this with my girl, again, you know, she's worked in healthcare for a couple of decades. And I told her, you know, we were talking about the finale there. And I told her my idea about the whole jungle, what that symbolized. And she said that was actually my interpretation as well. And she told me, she said, one day with regards to the dementia, you just wake up and you're just lost. You are just lost. And she told me it's something that you don't want to see in real life. It's messed up. So that's the impression that I'm under. So, you know, if they were to go with a season 4, there's enough where they could follow the son for a little bit. And if we were to see Mahershala Ali, I think it has to be a case where the dementia has just really full blown. Just full blown. He don't know people. He don't know names. He can barely form sentences or some stuff like that. I think it has to be pretty, it's kicking his ass. But that's that finale for me. That's how it really, what I felt, how they ended. And I kind of like what Pardino had said, which is basically they kind of did like a Sopranos. And yeah, some people are definitely going to be needing resolution after seeing this if they have not seen it yet. And shoot, you could be like me. You could have watched it twice and gone, I'm still confused. I still need more answers. I still need more questions. But I would have to say this season of True Detective, it greatly redeemed itself from the second season. I know not that many people had liked the second season. I felt it was average. I'm not going to say it was crappy, but I felt the second season was a bit average. This season, right up there with the first season. And I would say anybody that has not yet checked out this season of True Detective, make it your business. Go out of your way. Check it out. You will not be disappointed. It's only at 8 episodes, so you can't beat that. You can't really go wrong with that, right? In and out. And you're hooked in such a way where you want to binge watch. You just want to keep going, right? So, you know, I know that the creator of True Detective, he pretty much said, hey, as far as season 4, it's a good idea. Can't really say anything right now. I'm not really sure what the future holds. So I think ultimately it just depends. If HBO are looking at the numbers and they feel there's enough there to warrant another season, that's great for HBO. But I think the real question is, does the creator want to go forth with another season? And if so, what are you going to do? I'm like this. If the two sit down and they do decide they want to do a season 4, let the creator and the whole writing team have as much time as humanly possible. And that's what made this season be as strong as the first season, is that there was enough time to really fine tune and tell the right type of story that they wanted to tell. Whereas season 2 felt very rushed. I think we all can be in agreement of that. It did feel very rushed, and while a lot of people felt it was average to lackluster. So to see the amount of years that went by between season 2 and season 3, honestly, if the two sides can sit down and they agree, let's go ahead with another season, then the creator, his writing staff, they need to be given all the time in the world, no strings attached, no deadline. Let them be able to tell the story that they need to tell. And once they feel, yes, we got everything we need, we're ready to go into production now, then you go on ahead and do that. Because you can tell when enough time has been given to really come up with a great plot, you can tell. And when not enough time has been given, you can also tell that, and it definitely shows. But like I said at the very top, if this season does not get the nominations for the makeup, the directing, and all the other categories I had mentioned, it would definitely be a travesty. But once again, congrats to the cast of Green Book for winning Picture of the Year. That is a really great nod. I can't wait to see what else had came about with the Oscars. I'm just going to read the list of winners. That's how I usually do it every single year. And I like how some of the interactions are coming in the chat right here. We've got Pardino. He's saying that, not related to this discussion, but I loved every season of The Wire. Yeah, that's not related to the topic at hand. Let's skip to the next one. I agree. You can't rush it. Take time to create a great story. Awesome. Justin, I can definitely see the son carry on in the next season. Plus, the actor that plays the son is an amazing actor, and he is. He definitely is. No problem. Yeah. Anybody that was confused by that whole jungle scene, we laid it out for you. Hopefully, once you hear what I had to say about it, and then you go back and you watch it, it makes sense to you. Appreciate that. We got anybody else in here before we wrap it up? No, okay, that's it. So we can definitely go ahead and wrap it up because it's actually kind of late now here. I do appreciate those of you that had stayed up just to check out my thoughts on this season's True Detective. If you're new, welcome. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, click the bell notification so you never miss out on future content that comes your way on a weekly basis. If you love all things wrestling, entertainment, and beyond, you're in the right place. We've been doing this since 2011. And yeah, follow me, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Use the keywords the RCWR Show. For our longtime listeners or those curious, our next edition will be coming at you this Tuesday, 10 p.m. Eastern, soon as SmackDown goes off the air. That is Tuesday night of February 26th, 10 p.m. Eastern. We'll be live here, also live via Spreaker, also the RCWR Show app, available for free in the Android store. And if you can't check out the show live, it's available on your favorite listening platform. So be it Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, all that good stuff. Shout out to Freddie. In the way, have a good night as well, my friend. Take care. And appreciate Pardino, just appreciate that, buddy. And everybody else, I want to know what you thought. Now that we're going to make this on demand, tell me your thoughts on this season of True Detective, the good, the bad, the ugly, your overall takeaway of tonight's season finale. I want to hear more from you guys, and hopefully we can build up enough comments to maybe revisit what you all had to say about the finale on Tuesday's show. Until then, I'm wishing all y'all to be safe, most importantly, be kind to one another. I will see y'all next go round. Y'all do take care.